Welcome to Talkin Tires, the podcast that delves deep into the world of tires. Join us as we explore everything from the science behind the manufacturing to the latest innovations in tire recycling. Our aim is to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of tires, including how they work, how to maintain them, and how to dispose of them responsibly. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic, curious car enthusiast, or an avid recycler, Talkin Tires is the perfect podcast for anyone who wants to learn about the essential component of the modern vehicle and heavy equipment. So buckle up and join us for an informative and engaging journey into the world of tires. All right, welcome to another podcast, Talkin Tires. I'm Craig Hunter, your host, the president of Tire Reclaim, and I'm here with Genti Bardhi of Salvadori Tires, also the chair at ReMA, which we'll talk a little bit more about recycled materials as we move on, and he can tell us about his big adventure going on there at ReMA. But just to get started, I wanted to get to know Genti, so welcome.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for having me at your podcast. It's a real pleasure that finally I get the chance to participate, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Yeah, we did. We met at the Atlanta, Georgia Tire Recycling Conference, and that was, I don't know about for you, but for me, it was an excellent conference and nice. And I don't want to say small because there's still quite a few attendees, but definitely quaint and felt like there was a lot of good conversations going on. So it was nice to meet you. I know we wanted to film a podcast in person and that would have been great, but we didn't get a chance to hook up. So I'm glad you could join me here. And let's just dive right into it. So I talked a little bit about your bio and what you're doing right now, but if you wouldn't mind, again, this is more like, let's get to know Genti. You want to tell us a little bit about you? Like where were you born? Let's start there. Where do you come from?
Yes, I was born in Albania. It's a little country in the Western Balkans. And then there was a little unrest during the 96, 97. And my family and I migrated to Greece. Lived there for a few years, and then I was awarded from the European Union a scholarship to go and study law in Italy. And moved to Italy, went to law school, and then I had the opportunity to work with an architecture company, launched their business in Germany, and I always wanted to visit USA. Even to kind of get the feeling. Because for us, for the Europeans, it's always fascinating what goes on here with the business and the opportunity that this country provides.
How about before that? How about when you were a kid? Did you see movies from America and it kind of was exciting? Or
you're spot on. I mean, my desire for America didn't just develop in 1 year. It was a long going. I have a little story that I shared with my admission team at Georgetown. So when I was a little kid, and in '92, the democracy came. We call it. It's still. It's a process ongoing, of course, because the democracy doesn't come in 1 day. But I will never forget the helicopters and the American troops with NATO troops coming in Albania. We left the name of the town that I was born in, is called Puglia. It has a small castle that derives from the Ottoman Empire. And we were looking at these helicopters and these, troops coming there to help us. And I was a little kid. I knew a few words in English, and I'll never forget that when we saw, the soldiers and everything, the first question that they asked, they looked at us and they said, "Hey, are you hungry?" And the American troops took their lunches and offered them to us. So that's a gesture that it has stayed with me forever. Wow,
that gave me goosebumps, buddy. That's a good one. Wow.
It has always followed me about, and when I moved to this country, the hospitality, the opportunity and people around wanting to help you and mentor you has been a wonderful experience, absolutely.
That's great to hear. So So then you're studying. So you said in Italy. So then you're in your 20s, early 20s at that point, or
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I am. Please.
yeah. So then you moved in. You're then into America in your 20s and 30s, and that's how
Yes,
you got. Okay.
it was in my late 20s, early 30s. I moved in United States. I really wanted to give myself the other opportunity again here to go to school, to kind of enjoy and really have that American experience through work and everything. Um, it kind of works a little different as always, when you're moving to a new country and you are starting everything from zero, and you don't have quite a lot of support around you. You just have to figure out everything on your own. I had a brief experience. I owned a restaurant in Arlington, Virginia, right by the Georgetown Bridge for a few years, and then that gave me the opportunity to go back to school to support myself through school. And right about that time, I met someone in the United States, and we fell in love, and we got married.
Yeah, I was wondering when that part was coming. Yeah. So you found you an American girl, did you?
I did. I did.
All
Yes.
right. So
Yes.
you guys married and kids?
Yeah, we're not kids yet. We just will be celebrating our 13th anniversary at June 18th since we met.
All right.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So then, where did and I have to do this often in the podcast is remind us that it's Talking Tires. So I've heard so many stories of, oh, I accidentally got into tires. That was Levon Detweiler. That was one of my favorite lines, as he said he accidentally got into tires, and now he's one of the biggest tire moguls around, right? So I'm curious, what happened? Did you trip over a tire one day and said somebody ought to clean these up?
The My journey to the automotive industry is something like that. It's while I was finishing the business school at Ohio State University, my bachelor's. I was at the end of the school and had to talk about my thesis. And during this time, it's through one of my professors and mentors who knew each other. That had a common connection. Technically, that person went to church with the CEO of the company that I work right now, Denley. And they were trying to acquire a company out of Italy, the Salvador. So our parent company is called TRC, Technical Rubber Company. And basically, they needed someone who could speak the language and understand the business nuances and could translate that in Italian language, right? For doing the merger. And I remember to this day, I was talking to my mentor and Robert, and he said, again, he said, there is this opportunity. I know that you are finishing school and all that. And he said, there is this is a great company, he said, out of Johnstown, Ohio. And they would love the opportunity to have someone, and so you could translate and work with them.
And articulate, not just translate.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's a great point, Craig, that you bring, because translating is when we hear translate, and I've had the opportunity through my life, I've been blessed to speak 5 languages. So I have had the opportunity to kind of, work with internationally, translate, and it's not a translation. When you are translating for someone who has founded a company, has put his life's work there, and we're trying to give that notion, to translate that it's not just words, it's emotion, it's a lot that comes into the path of translation. And
it's coming from you.
Exactly.
It's not coming from the person talking into your ear that you're then literally translating. It's more of it's your thoughts, and you're articulating the idea, and it may need some compassion, or it may need some sternness at times. So you have that ability, and you don't have to wait for the pause of a translator.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just you have to take all that, emotional status, the nuances of business, the nuances of life, the nuances that what probably, uh, you know, people want to say at that moment, be as precise as you can, right? Be as spot on as you can. And it's a very interesting thing. And as I said, I love languages, so that has helped me in every country that I've been. I really wanted to learn the language. I really wanted to integrate. I wanted to go through the schools, and it's been a blessing that I have had the opportunity to do it, because not many times you get that opportunity.
So you were able to navigate that purchase with Salvadori, obviously.
Yes, I was part of that process, and basically, when I got to research the company, before I was, helping the parties communicate, I kind of went into the process, and I'll never forget. I met the CEO, and he was to this day, he's a mentor and a great companion through this journey. Because when I went there, he just explained to me everything. Basically, we spent 4 hours, I think, and he explained to me everything. And that's where I understood basically that we were talking about tires, we were talking about a recycling, goal, and how to bring them into the circular theme of the world now, circular economy, how we want to be part of that. And basically, our company was aiming to invent that, to help the industry by inventing that process and give the tools that
The kind of like a 30,000-foot view for you to understand and how to navigate that relationship. And that's so Salvadori, can you tell me a little bit more about them as a company? So was that you said it was a family owned and founder that you were working
Yes.
that deal, and are they OTR predominantly, or you'll have to help me understand a little bit more.
All segments, yes.
But at that time, when it was still happening, was it just OTR in Italy, or did they have all segments
No.
at that time?
They had
Oh,
all
okay.
segments. They covered
I
all
didn't know if you were
segments.
bringing something new, right? Like maybe
We
you
have
say, "Hey,
we have brought quite a bit since
I'll bet,
since
yeah."
2017. We have brought quite a bit. Salvador, it was founded in the early 80s, a family company, and they have been part of. There is a mini Silicon Valley, we call it, on the northern Italy, where all the innovative companies are gathered, and they are supported by the states through projects or initiatives to make sure that they continue up with the process and with the new notions that they have to develop them. Taking them from R&D phase, and there is a process where they are put into life. Right? One of these actually has been, we call it MTRX. It's the biggest machine in the world. It's the machine that cuts the biggest tire in the world, the mining 63 inches. Yes. That was developed through an R&D, very rigid R&D process, and we have deployed that machine around the world. We have been very successful with that. Basically, you can take a tire of 63 inches, cut it before you put it on the shredding process, where you can get steel, chrome rubber, and lignin separate.
Yeah, I think I've seen someone else that had one of those machines, and they called it El Chapo. They said, you just take it over to El Chapo and it'll take care of it. But that's, I think I actually have a flyer from the show in Atlanta. And is that the one? I believe the gentleman standing on the cover, leaning on the large OTR tire.
Yes. Yeah, that was Eddie Salvadori, the founder of the
Oh,
Salvador.
fantastic. Yeah, so I have that, and we will probably follow up. We'd like to talk a little bit further about that on another call, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
we could talk here for hours, how we take a tire, we process it, then we put it in the new world. Let me just spend 3 seconds here. As of now, in the United States, TRC Salvador, so TRC is our parent company, We are the only company that goes through a 360 degrees process. So taking the tire, chopping it, going through the shredding process, and then molding that process. So understanding in depth what it takes for a tire and different binders processes to make an end product. So the whole circular economy.
Wow, that's things I want to learn about. So absolutely, we can spend time on that.
Yeah,
and we can go into that on a business to business conversation, right? But
absolutely.
A little bit more I wanted to get into right now. So that definitely gives us a good snapshot of your background. And then now, would you say it's becoming a passion? You have a why factor, as I like to call it. Have you tapped into that a little bit? What is your why? What makes you swing your legs out of bed in the morning? And is it the recycling, that 360 degrees that you were just hinting to, something like that?
I think it's that's a great question, right? That's one of the greatest questions. It has always been a passion, right? Always in my life, I never did something that I didn't believe, right? Because it's what you said. It's you have to have that fire in you that you get out in the morning, you try, accomplishing things, collaboration, coming up with new ideas. And as you know, in our business, it's not very easy. We have to be very, always very looking for new things, looking for new ideas. Right? We are surrounded by this world where we have so much raw material of tires, right? But the ideas are so limited. Right, we have a few products out there between tires and rubber flooring and some other concepts, but still there is a lot that we can accomplish. Right, there is a lot that we can do. Honestly, Craig, to me, I have been lucky because I entered this industry, right, as you said, like not knowing too much about it. I've seen tires in my car, but they never went through the process, how they are made and what does that and what the liability they create after, they come to their end life. So I was
we had no idea, right? We had no idea. I feel the same way.
Just take it for granted, like, change your tire, leave it there, get the miles with your car. So we took all that for granted. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the industry and I'm like, wow, like just one part of this car, requires so much investment, so much technology, so much know-how, and, to make it, happen, to make a circular economy notion. And to me, the biggest fire, as you said, is when I visit these plants in the United States that they start with an idea. And this has happened. We've been lucky to go through this process. It has happened quite a few times. We have visited this plant, and honestly, it's the owner by the beginning when we go there. And it's maybe one or two people, one in the plant and maybe another one at the shipping or at the something like that, right? And then we start working, right? We start, it starts with brainstorming process. It might be, legislation incentive. It might be because tires are very frequent at that state. There's a large amount of tires. And then we go, what would you like to do? So we go through the whole process of design, making the machinery, testing,
building,
and deploying. Exactly, building everything. And then we have this family notion to this day where we invite our customers to our Italian manufacturing base. They come in and they see the machine and they say, yes, this is what we're expecting, and then all is good, and then we ship it to the United States, right? So to me, what has been very inspiring is the fact that after having worked with this company 3, 4, 6, maybe a year, we see this company is going from 30 people to 30 to 40 to 60, right?
Right.
When you experience that growth, so for example, we had the latest installation in Ohio. It brought tears to my eyes and I'm a very good friend with the CEO of that company who started everything, from the ground up. And we're walking through this plant, And honestly, we couldn't walk because there were so many people, so much machinery, so much product moving. And 3 years ago, when this started, where it was just like a field, yeah, there was
Yeah.
nothing there, and
Yeah.
it's just so fulfilling that there's no financial amount or anything that can inspire you that way when you see these people running literally, kind of not even taking the time to have their full lunch break, and this happens to us all the time. We're there with them, and maybe we don't even have it, or maybe we just go through right to dinner because it's so much that you have to do and to cover in one process that you can't. When you see, and it doesn't matter if it's your client or if it's your peer, when you see them run, you are leading by example. You want to be part of that process. And I think one fundamental factor in our success has been that we listen. We listen to our clients. We don't take anything for granted. We are there. We know that nobody has the magic formula, right? But eventually, all together, we're going to bring that into reality.
That's great. That's great. I can't help but wonder, with that kind of why. Well, let me explain how I think of it. So I wonder if we kind of have a same thought process on this, because we're also growing exponentially. So rather than being the company helping other starts, we're probably more like one of those little guys that you're talking about. So we've watched staff get added. And I'm talking about at Tire Reclaim, and concepts and ideas and processes come about just out of necessity, right? Or opportunity, if you will.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll see new employees, some really young, some a little older, some in between. And I can't help but think of the little kids, right? So there's a kid with a little line of soup running off and he's eating. And that meal was bought from dad going out and working his tail off for us to get some tires graded or get some tires ground up or whatever it is that he's doing for us. And when they pull that backpack on to go to the first day of school, they got brand new clothes on, and little things that people do take for granted. And if you're not gainfully employed, is very challenging. Those, just getting food on the table and fresh clothes for the first day of school, that can be a big thing. So sometimes I could go there in my head, and that can be a motivator. It's like, I really want to close this deal because it'll add a whole new line to this part of our company or something of that nature, so I get exactly what you're talking about. That's an excellent why. And just the fact of the recycling aspect didn't come out of your mouth, right? That's usually the go-to for everybody in our industry or like industries, is like, well, I really am excited about, the recycling aspect of the ESG or this or that, which, okay, we can have those conversations and they're very important conversations to have. But you're talking about building something, which that's kind of my why sector too, is I like building things. And yes, building things that helps our fellow man, even better, right? But building in general is very exciting. So I can see that, being great as being a why. So what are some projects you got working? I mean, I did mention in your intro, you're the chair at ReMA for the tire and rubber division. That started this year, right? And for the listeners that don't know, ReMA is the new name for ISRI. So now it's ReMA, short for Recycled Materials, right? So
Recycled Materials
I like
Association,
Yes, you got it. Yeah, of course you would know it, being chair of the tire and rubber. So tell us a little bit how that came about, and you have some short-term and long-term goals on that?
So absolutely, yes. As you said, everybody knows it as the ISRI, the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, and then now it's ReMA, the Recycling Materials Association. ReMA brings a great value to the industry, brings together all the actors and advocates for the industry. But what's more important, we have all the actors in the recycling industry who are currently working to develop new products, right? When it comes to taking that crumb rubber, that crumb rubber, adding value to it, right? Making it more financially more valuable.
Mm.
And one of my, I have been passionate always about participating, being parts in the boards, and seeing where the mission is going, the mission and vision of this industry. And that's why when I was offered the leadership role, I was blessed, having all the industry there who has been for decades there. Trusting you with that has been a blessing. And my goal is to really uh, bring something to the industry, bring something that probably we saw there for a long time, but we didn't think that this might be the new revolutionary idea, or the new, or at least start a conversation where we can think about it different, right?
There's some big flexes going on right now, some huge elasticity in our industry. I see multiple avenues of product recycling from manufacturers we've never seen before, like major manufacturers that could affect the crumb market, and different things in recycling that maybe people didn't see before, that is coming into light as far as the application of rubber crumb. And
Yes.
and those who aren't on top of those technologies could find themselves struggling for ideas or ways to move product, because I see changes coming. I mean, and I'm still kind of the new guy. I'm at the conference getting introduced to a lot of people. You've been around a little bit longer than me. I mean, does it feel like there's a lot of changes, or is it just me, or
No, no,
what are
no.
you
You
seeing?
are absolutely right. Let's say there is a new wind where people are very passionately looking for change. Right? It has come to the point that we all, as we shared before, right? There is so many materials currently that we can do out of rubber. Right? What is the next idea? What are we going, and how we're going to achieve this? What's the most important thing that we're going to do? Are we going to achieve this as an industry, all working together, all helping each other? And this was very evident at the plant of the tire recycling event that we spoke about it. That's probably the event that brings all the actors together, right? I have been in that conference many times, and I have never seen anybody miss that conference who is interested in it. And that says a lot, right? It brings the industry together. I had the opportunity to speak and moderate the recycling molded panels, and these are guys that, as we said before, these are entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs who literally work with their teams every day in the field. They are not people who their office is on the fifth floor, exactly, right, and they're going down and they're seeing 5 minutes. No, these are people literally who follow the R&D with their chemists, with their plant managers, with their workers, with their designers, with their sales team. They want to know every day what's happening, and that's why they are successful, right? They are on top of it. They are understanding the movement of the industry, how they can
multiple technologies, you mean?
Absolutely, yeah, right. They come to, when I meet with them, they are getting, hey, we want to work with you, but we have 3 or 5 ways we want to do this, right? It's not anymore here, right? I want to do a video call, and here is the computer. No, now it's I want to do a video call, but I have a room full of computers, and I need to know which computer is going to give me the best product, the best quality, right?
Right.
And they approach,
or which one's going to turn out to be the best computer.
Correct.
Because you don't know, so you got to get them all going before you really know. And that's kind of what we're learning in this industry too, is outlets, right? That's anybody can take a tire, but what are you going to do with it afterwards? And that, it sounds simple, but a lot of people, I think, fall to the what we call a tire recycling casualty, because they get all that upfront money for collection, because a guy will say, "You'll take it, okay, here you go. Take my liability for $2. You got it." And it's so.
You no, you hit
so
a very.
Having these.
Go on. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you.
No. It was really just more of the idea that having the door open on the technologies, right, is the R&D. So when we were at or I was at that meeting or that conference, a lot of what I saw was multiple industries mad dashing for that volume, right? So you have the roads and construction, which is
Yes.
the TDA and Agri, and then you have the fuel folks were there. And then now you have this new tire manufacturers. I saw more and more tire manufacturers than I'd ever seen before. So there's obviously, and then, always the pyrolysis, which, everyone asked me about pyrolysis. And I think Levon, again, in my podcast with Levon, said it best. He's like, well, I haven't seen any part that had more money spent on it than the pyrolysis sector. So,
Yeah.
but have yet to really see, a big explosion on that either. So there's just really all of these different facets and all these different angles coming at the industry all at once. Is that a fair snapshot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're spot on. There is so much, so many forces going into the journey. And, it's many people have been successful in the rubber industry, the rubber segment. So, for example, Core, or Safe Paths industry or rubber forum that we had the opportunity to speak. And you mentioned something very true in our industry. It's easy to move a tire from here to there, but then take that tire and make a new product out of it. It's a whole different new world, right? We are dealing with too many chemical processes, too many formulas, and too many unexpected know-how, events.
And they're designed to last.
Exactly, that you learn by trial and error or by figuring out. So it's inch by inch. It's like in the football game, right? You're winning your touchdown.
Wait, football American or which football?
American. I was referring to the
American. Do you have a
right.
team? Are you Cincinnati Bengals fan? I mean, do you watch football?
I love football. I come from Ohio State. I might be a little bit biased, but like it's I love all the teams. I think it's a great sport, and it's exactly like that, inch by inch. Every day you are making an innovation. You're making a step forward to that goal, and it's a very tricky process. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of capability when it comes to having your team.
So tying that back into the position at ReMA, then that kind of what you see is trying to bring these industries into one conversation and have us, so I come from infill, TDA, TDF,
Yes.
right? And then you might have someone that's road, and they have their things and their product lines, and then you have someone else's. Well, I do pyrolysis and I do this. And is it your thought to kind of tie that together where we're all heading in the same direction, or?
Yes. Well, it's determining that tire recycling value chain process, right? Where all the industries have a determined spot where they get the most of at that point, right? So, for example, we have the USTMA, right? The U.S. Tire Manufacturing Association, where that John shared. So that's for the tire manufacturers, right? That brings the tire manufacturers together. We understand what their, as you mentioned before, this sounds very repetitive, but what are the SG goals for 230, for 250? What are the sustainability goals? And then
what phase are you in currently?
Right. Because we have to move in parallel with the tire manufacturer. So we have to understand the tire, the innovations, because we are deconstructing that. So we're in a totally different environment. So these guys are building, we are deconstructing that to make a new product from this end life tire, right? And then you have TIA, right? The Tire Industry Association that is led by Big Gus, who is their CEO. So that's about bringing all the industry together and understanding the repair, the retreading. So giving that tire a second life while it's still built, while it's still active, right?
And those are the two that came together on the Tire Recycling Foundation?
Right, and then you have ReMA, the old Easter. Technically, we are looking at the more innovative, because these guys are building, they're repairing, so we are at the end of the chain value. We're looking to bring value to that end life tire. So what is the next product? So is it infill? Is it a new product, a green roof project that where we can put a plant and then not only take advantage of the plant and by or reducing the CO2 footprint, but being efficient on the water process as well as we feed that plant to grow.
It's a filtration system on your roof is what it is basically.
Exactly. So
Yep.
Understanding all these projects, and when we are here, we have kind of we are aware of the big responsibility that we have, right? Every day working with everybody and understanding the liability of our work, that if we didn't do this, so I'll give you we have a sister company, it's called Tech, right? Tech does all the repairs in the United States. We produce them out of Johnstown, Ohio. So when you see those patches that you go once your tire has been damaged, that's our product, right? So we did the research, and if we didn't do, so we repair about 150 million tires a year. 150 million tires are kept out of the road just by one process.
Great way to look at it. I love
Absolutely,
that.
Yeah. So, and we did a research in quantity to understand the impact. Exactly, to understand the impact. So if we didn't do what we do in 6 months, you'd have an area, imagine Manhattan in New York City, filled with end-life tires. Right.
That's great. Love the visual. Great
exactly.
idea.
So because today, now we don't see, so you go to your tire shop, or to your trusted tire shop, or to Costco, and you change your tires, but you never see that tire, what's doing, right? Where it's going, who is cutting it, who is processing it, who is shredding it. You don't see all of it. You just see your new tire in your car. And
the disposal fee. And you complain to the guy, which I will never complain. I say that, but I will never complain about a disposal fee on my tires ever again, because I realize it takes every penny of that to make that happen.
Yes, absolutely. And it's important, your mission, that becomes your next part of why, right? This is a huge liability. Imagine I have been in fields, right? Fields that were full of tires. And at some point, a fire came in, we don't know how that happened. A fire came in, and imagine the impact on the industry of that time, right? If it's with this town happened to be, I don't want to go into details, but it happened to be a touristic attraction. So imagine, the level of pollution there. Exactly. So it's not about just the tire itself. It's the liability that tire creates. It's about our health. It's about putting a new product and getting value, and it's about the next where are we going with this, right? What is the next why are we doing this? How efficient can we do this?
Well, that's another great transition there, because government affairs, I noticed that in your title, and that's something that I've kind of taken head on here in Idaho. We're working with the group on getting a bill in legislation. They should vote on it January of next year. So we got a lot of work to do over the next 6 months.
Yes.
But I think maybe I talked to you over in Atlanta, but that's kind of a lot of the time I spent there talking to the old timers and the up and comers was, how do you see the system working for you, including the government, the subsidies, things like that. And you don't have to go into too much detail on, where you stand as far as, should it all just be, flat fee, the government pays $5 and no one ever pays for recycling tires, and there's a guaranteed, but that's a tax, right? Which we're a highly conservative state of Idaho, which that may be very challenging to get past. Where if you have something that so you've obviously had a lot of experience in that category. Where do you see someone like myself that has a clean slate, if you will, of a bill? We've tried a couple different things in Idaho, hasn't worked out. We have some really high-level people that, head of counties, head of cities, head of the sheriff's department, all of these, the DQ, everyone is going to come to the table so we can pound out a bill that will actually work for the state of Idaho and the people of Idaho. Do you have any recommendations for something like that?
You bring up a great point, right? It's, traditionally we have seen through the years, if we go back previously from 2016 to 20, then after 2020, all administrations have been active in the green energy, right? And especially with infrastructure build, we saw a lot of, financial allocation to bring end life products and manipulate them and bring them into life through our technologies and communities. My thought is that the American industry has worked very well independently. They have been very innovative. They've done very well when it comes to progress in the industry. However, when what we're seeing is that in the federal level, there is a lot of financial allocation going to the state or to the local, and I think when it becomes a little working hand by hand is that the project, let's say the project that maybe you're trying to work with, if you have a specific goal in mind, I'll make sure to explain that to my electorate, but as well as to the EPA office, who are the experts of understanding of going through that process and understanding why you are the candidate, why you'll be the one to get that grant or that financial help, or for market development, for testing, for equipment, for anything that concerns your goal at that point in time, and move forward with it. As you said, there has been a lot of debate around the years, the paralysis, a lot of projects that maybe work, maybe didn't. And I think when the industry comes in, and I have done this with a few companies through California, Colorado, Ohio, I have worked with them. We went, to present the project, and that brings a lot of credibility and a lot of expertise when show your electorate, but your city, that you're going to take X amount of tires and make a new product out of that. So show the impact in real time by a company who is in that area or in that city, in that town. I think that's a big deal. And
kind of the proof is in the pudding type thing.
Yes, it's about seeing the value, and as you said, there is a lot of hunger now. The companies are pursuing aggressive innovation. They understand that in order to move forward to elevate the whole platform of the industry, has to be innovation from all parts. This cannot be done alone. That's for sure. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So, and I think it's important to note we're working closely with, other people in the tire industry. So it's not something that we at Tire Reclaim are spearheading. It's Liberty Tires involved, and, of course, the dealership, the Retailers Association representing different dealerships and tire dealers. So we're getting everyone's input, basically. So, and because that kind of falls into back to my why, which my why is our beautiful state, and we hunt, fish, and camp here with our kids, and the last thing we want to see are tires laying around, and they are here and they're on the ground, and I want to know why. And the law changed, and why did it change? And then it happened so long ago that it's hard to even find people in the state house that can even tell us where their heads were back then when they made those changes, right? So it's almost, it really feels like a clean slate, but I love being able to tap into other folks like yourself that have experienced and seen the pitfalls, right? And maybe we can avoid those, because we do have a short window to try to get some of these projects funded, right? And that's what it would boil down to, is just cleaning up the state, whether we help them pay for transportation or help them pay for whatever, whatever facet of the remediation they need, just get these tire piles cleaned up, right? Because that's mosquitoes and that's rats and mice and snakes. So, but anyway, hey, was there anything else podcast, that you might want to talk about that you haven't had a chance to yet?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot of ground. I mean, I'm sure we can come back at some other
Yeah.
point or at
Yeah,
some
we can
other
make a part
conference.
two for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at some other conference where we
Oh
meet,
yeah.
by our booth and we talk and all that. I think it's been a great, as I said, it's been a great opportunity to be part of the industry, and we are in an industry that it's um, it's important for what we do. It's important, we show up every day and we show with an idea, with that starts from paper, right? And taking that
Mhm.
to reality, it's a big deal. It's very important. It requires everybody, as you said. So
And this, right? The
yes, yes,
communication. Like I
yes.
noticed there was a lot of gray hair, and I have some of my own, so I'm not judging by any means, but there was a lot of gray hair at the conferences, and the way it was kind of presented to me was, we're ready for some young blood. We're ready, and they mentioned yourself and other people in the area that are coming into positions that might have some impact. And I encourage you to just take it and embrace it and run with it. And we're all supporting you on that ReMA
I
adventure,
appreciate
right?
that.
So we'll anything you need, you can always holler at little old tire reclaim in Idaho. But just want to tell you, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to staying in touch. And congratulations with this initiative. It's a great thing. It's great that keeps all the actors, all the community together as we talk and we learn about our work every day.
Great. Thanks, bub.
Thank you. Have a great one.